trends like that. It's just awful. They cannot find anything in Jacksonville that pays them $300,000, obviously, right? Like you're lucky to get six Gs, six figures in Jacksonville. So that when the wages don't keep up, it's a huge problem. So the average income that you need to buy a home in the state of Florida is $125,000. So this map shows the median household income recommended for buying a three-bedroom home. You need $125,000. So that would generally be a dual income family or parents co-signing with them. And this comes from Realtor.com, April 2025. The math isn't mathing, so this is even Realtor.com is like this makes no sense to buy a home right now. The baby boomers, their median household income was $23,000, and then the house was $83,000. The median home prices for millennials, 486,000, but there's a bunch of 74,000. If you really just like 3x it, kind of compared to the baby boomers, you would expect prices to be around 229, not 468. Makes sense. So if you cut it this way, this isn't like a perfect chart, obviously, from an adjustment, like, expectation, but if you cut it this way, it's like prices are 30-40% overpriced, which completely makes sense because we had a 52% run up the last 5 years, last 4 years since the COVID boom, which was all just because the government came in and just handed money to everybody by keeping rates low, right? Made the payments really low. So that's why the consumer feels awful. Everything's really expensive. They're maxed out on their credit cards. They have no savings. They're loaded up with debt. So the consumer sentiment actually plunged to the second lowest reading of all time. Okay, which is kind of crazy. So consumers are feeling it right now. First-time home buyers cannot buy houses. They're having a really hard time. This is like the lowest level of first-time home buyers share of home purchases and coming down. How can you? I mean, if you came out of college and you got your first job and you're making $55K a year, and that it's going to cost you $125,000 to buy a $400,000 house, like for your income, you have to like basically nearly triple your income to be able to purchase. And this is what I was saying about the median age of home buyers is now above 55. This is the chart that came out about that. So you can see over the years, you used to buy your first house in your 30s, and now because of the situation that we're in, it's like near 50s. This is a cool chart. 52 million people cannot afford a $200,000 house. It's crazy. Let's see if I can move this back over here. Zoom is kind of silly sometimes. One sec. Here we go. So this came out from the National Association of Home Builders. 52 million people cannot afford a $200,000 house. So you can see in different segments, the income's just not there. So this is U.S. households a million by highest price home they can afford 2025. Right? And so the credit bubble is impacting real estate. Why? It's simple. Especially in Florida, the builders overbuilt the last 4 years, right? They thought this COVID demand that was coming from the north and the west would continue forever. They thought it would continue forever, so they built like crazy. This always happens in Florida. Builders get over their skis. They try to take advantage of the situation and sell as much as possible as soon as possible, and they're getting stuck right now. There's actually communities that I've heard of that have 320 homes that they need to sell this year, and they've only sold like 16 houses. So they're like 85% behind their schedule this year. There's a slowdown in migration to Florida, so this is something that's come up the last 2 or 3 months. We're not seeing as many relocations from the north or the west, people actually migrating out of Florida. And this has to do with some policies with second homes with Canadians. That's mostly down in the south, not up here. But up here, the real big issue is the hedge funds stopped purchasing, and that's allowed a ton of properties to come back on the market. They were 35% of buyers were these hedge funds for the last 3 to 4 years. Prior to 2022, and they stopped buying. That's why you see all these wholesale operations kind of disappear overnight, because they don't have a buyer to sell the property to. And then the local population, as we've already talked about, is priced out, right? Like the people who already live here, they can't afford this, so prices have to come down. Realtor.com says you need 70% more income today to purchase a home than prior to COVID. Home prices rose 52% from 265 to 400,000 on average. Mortgage rates went from 4% to 7%. We were down in the twos at one point. Affordable homes purchased by hedge funds, the wage growth is not enough. That's really the summary of what's going on here. This is the demand for second homes. Fell to a 6-year low in 2024, so you can see people are just not buying their second homes here. I'm really curious to see what 2025 came out. 10.8% of homes in Florida are second homes, by the way. It's actually a pretty good jump. And this has caused realtors to struggle. A lot of realtors out there struggling, and they need to adjust. You have to adjust. You have to step up to the plate. we're at the lowest number of existing home sales since the great financial crisis. It's likely that we may continue to have a little bit of a decline in number of units sold if interest rates continue to move up because of this US debt crisis. Okay, so it's possible to see there will be a point in time. So here's the good news. There will be a point in time where it makes sense for buyers financially to jump back in and start purchasing like crazy because sellers will finally become realistic on reducing their prices. It will happen. And then you'll see, your business will grow like 30% a year for a couple of years. Like that's just how it is, especially in Florida. There will become a time. So you want to survive this market cycle and then thrive on the other side of it. You just need a longer term view of everything. And then purchase apps are below the great financial crisis as well. Okay, so the purchase applications to buy. And there'll be a lot of people who say, oh, the market's doing really well for purchase application, and they refer to purchase. It's like a weekly thing that comes out. It's just a lie. It's so dynamic week to week. What you need to do is look at the trend line of where they're at. The prices are shifting very, very quickly. This is price reduction surge as sellers overestimate the market. 18% of listings saw price reductions in April. This is across the country. So you see the country is not all the same. You can see that Arizona getting crushed. Florida, number 2. You're starting to see Texas. Texas is their home prices are down about 20% already. You look at North Carolina, the Raleigh area. In South Carolina, they're getting hurt quite a bit as well. This data is laggy. I don't think this is really accurate data. I think it's actually a lot worse than this, and definitely locally it's worse than this. I'll show you the data. And prices are down in the South, right? The North is doing fine. So it's basically like inverse COVID, inverse pandemic. The places where people were relocating out of and their prices were dropping, now people are going back and buying those same areas. And the other issue is that we so overbuilt the Sun Belt like crazy. Builders were just going nuts on it, and I think that's a big contributor to it. So, the market is softer, but my house is so special. Let's hold out for more offers, is what most sellers are saying. There's just a huge disconnect between sellers and buyers right now, what buyers are willing to pay and what sellers want to get for their house. And it takes time for sellers to become realistic, right? Some of you be like, I gave them all the data, they just won't do it. And then you keep hitting them over the head with data every single time. It's either going to be you or it's going to be another agent that's going to sell that house if they're truly motivated. If they're not truly motivated, I wouldn't spend time with them in this market. It's a waste of time.
I agree with that. I actually went on a listing appointment like 2 weeks ago, and we just listed it in Palm Coast. And he goes, well, I want 419. And I said, listen, I have a house that I had up for sale 2 years ago, and they have now went through 2 other agents, and now they're at the price that I told them to be at, and it's still not selling because it was on the market for too long, and it was overpriced. I said, if you want to sell, we have to sell at the right price. And then I screenshotted what you posted about sellers need to sell before July.
Good. Amen.
That is correct.
Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate the confidence in the data because it's like, I probably talk just, Lindsay, to about 15 top agents per day.
Mm-hmm.
Not even just in Momentum, outside of Momentum and around the country. Everybody's saying the same thing that you just said. It's like, it's the biggest waste of time to take an overpriced listing. You need to interview your seller more than they interview you. You need to decide if you're going to pay $1,000 to prep the listing, pay for the photos, help with the inspections, drive up to the house, get the sign, write all this stuff, maybe make a promo video. You need to decide whether or not it's worth spending that money or waiting for somebody who's actually willing to sell. Because everybody's got listings. Shoot, Momentum's up 38% from last year in active listings. We're killing it on paper. But the only thing that matters is number of units. We are up 12%. Momentum's up 12% from last year number of units. So you guys are hustling. You're doing the right things. I still think a lot of agents are overspending. They need to check their personal budgets. They need to consolidate their debts.
Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. I'm streaming live, and today is Monday. It's September 15th, 2025, and I'm continuing my coverage on the Charlie Kirk incident. A lot of you have been sending me emails, I really appreciate that. I've spent all weekend investigating, looking, and pulling together a lot of information that I'm going to be sharing with you over the course of several videos. News that Charlie course, just go to my YouTube channel, The Healthy American Peggy Hall, and don't wait for a notification because YouTube probably won't tell you. When you look at videos, make sure you click under both videos and live so that you can see all of the broadcasts that I do. And again, I have a Charlie Kirk playlist that I'm going to be adding to over the next several days. It's not possible for me to cover every single aspect in every single video and go over things that I've already gone over. So please refer to my previous podcasts and note the date when I publish that on YouTube because more information comes out and you might be watching an older video saying, hey, that doesn't sound accurate. So please match that up with the more and more information that is being released. So the name of this video is Why I'm Questioning the Charlie Kirk Incident and Why You Should Too. And I made some notes on my Substack because there's so much that I want to cover, and I'll be sharing some images with you as well. So I do want to give everyone a warning right off the bat. This video, this channel is all about critical thinking. And if you are not a person that wants to ask questions or dig deeper, if you don't want to look for clues and then draw evidence in order to draw a conclusion, then this video is not for you. I would say just go to Instagram or TikTok and, look for a quick hit or something because this is a deep dive. And so we spend a long time together going through these things, and that's what it takes in order to dig deeper and learn more. So this channel, The Healthy American, is for those of you that want to read between the lines of any incident that we're shown on TV. This is for people who are willing to question what they've been shown on the mainstream media and even the alternate media and social media. We can't just take everything at face value because the person in the story is a conservative or a Catholic or a Christian or whatever. We have to apply the same critical thinking skills, I would say even more so, to a situation that you might just brush off because you're thinking, well, there never would be anything nefarious going on here. So this channel is for people who don't just believe things because the news showed them the story. This channel and this video is for people who want to gather clues. Now, think about what clues are. They might seem inconsequential to certain people. You might find clues that include numbers and symbols and locations and names and spellings and dates and background and all of those things. And it's easy to dismiss and say, that doesn't mean anything. Well, why are you even focusing on that? That's because it's called a clue. And you gather the clues initially, and you don't dismiss them right out of hand. You look to see if there's a pattern, or if that ties into something else. So if you truly were a detective or an investigator, and you came upon a scene, and you found something there, you pick it up and you take it as evidence. And it is recorded, and it is in a safe place, just in case it does make sense down the line. So this is not a place for people who are going to dismiss the clues that I'm going to bring up. It's strange that I even need to explain that, but I had people that stumbled across my channel and did not know that I have been on the front lines helping you defend truth and freedom and your rights for the last several years. And that's what I'm doing today. It's all about critical thinking, whether it's about the cooties hogwash, whether it's about the chemtrails, whether it's about the kill shots, or whether it's about this incident. I've taken plenty of pushback, plenty of hate. I've had plenty of trolls, plenty of naysayers when I exposed things about the Catholic Church, and I'm going to be talking about Mormons, so if you don't want to hear about that, I wouldn't keep watching the video. I got a lot of flack when I exposed the hypocrisy of Bob Kennedy, and many people turned on me, and they got angry at me because they didn't want to get angry at him. Over time, they came around, and they said, you were exactly right. I couldn't see it because I was blinded by my emotions. And that's why I didn't even want to do coverage on this story on the very first day, because I knew that when people are experiencing devastation and trauma, although the witnesses didn't appear to experience devastation and trauma, and some would say the wife hadn't either, but that's what I'm getting to in just a moment. The point is, when people are experiencing intense emotions, especially when it didn't happen to them, when it happened to someone else, and they can't do anything about it. They feel hopeless, they feel helpless, they feel overwhelmed. That's the perfect time to bring in all the orchestrated events that no one is going to catch. And I'm not speaking specifically about the Charlie Kirk incident. I will in a moment, but I'm talking about anything that you're shown. So I always like there to be a little bit of time so that you can go back and look at the information and then determine whether or not what you're seeing makes sense. Some of you are noticing that about 9/11, about Shady Milk, about any number of these nightclub incidents that you go back and you're like, you know what, this doesn't really add up when I look at it without an emotional view, when I'm looking at it with my rational mind. So that's the point of this video today, is to talk about really why it's important to be a critical thinker. So clues are things that we gather, and regardless of how inconsequential they may seem at the time, then we analyze, we evaluate, we observe what's coming out, we notice things, we play videos without the sound, and then we listen to the video without playing, we listen to the audio without playing the video to see if we catch anything. We try to verify what we've been shown. We try to match it up with reality. We use our own God-given discernment to see if it passes a sniff test,
Never
or
does.
a smell test, or kind of a gut check.
Never
And for
does.
many people, they have that.
It never
It's
fucking does.
something, I don't know, it's gift. Some people think it's a curse sometimes that they can see things so clearly and quickly, where it takes other people who are more trusting, dare I say, more gullible or naive. That may be, or they just don't really want to bother. It takes them much longer to see what most of us can see right off the bat. But it's important to verify and then draw conclusions based on evidence, based on facts, based on reality, not based on emotion, and not based on a person and what they purportedly stood for. So people who are able to set their emotions aside and look at things rationally and soberly, that's who this broadcast is for. That's what this channel is for. And my Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. Now, stick with me because I am going to touch on a few of these things that are popping up. But I am going to be doing some deep dives over the coming days, and I'm going to share with you the titles of the videos that I've intended to do. So I want to connect with people and share information or help people realize that there are bad actors out there that are willing to do whatever it takes for power, for ego, for money, for fame, for control, for superiority, for future gains. Maybe their family ties, maybe they truly believe in promoting a new world disorder, as I call it. And I've covered that in my previous video called Why Would They Do That? So let's not forget that there are those who willingly serve evil. I'm speaking in a general tone right now for any of these events that you want to analyze. I'll get to some details in a moment. Keep in mind, there are people that may say they worship God, and then you have to ask, what God do they worship, right? You see they've got all sorts of tattoos and symbols and things, and you're thinking, wow, that doesn't really add up there. We even have people who pray in public. You have to ask yourself, who are they praying to? Well, the answer is in their fruit. The fruit bears the evidence, and that's why we need to look at the fruit of their actions. We need to look at the evidence and see if it all lines up. So those that serve evil, I call public serpents, because they are serpents, and the original deceiver was a serpent. And friends, that story is playing out till this very day. Deception is one of the most powerful tools of the of the enemy, and of course they use negative our energy to feed on that when we're worried and concerned and negative and all of that. So confusion is another tool of the enemy. Chaos is what the enemy spins in order to create order and impose an order that people normally might not want. So do people really want to live, by and large, do people want to live in a tiny home that looks like a prison cell? Well, they glorify it on YouTube with all the tiny home videos. And you know what? I'm kind of hooked on those. I like design and I like decor and I like architecture and all that. I'm going to speak about architecture in a moment. Funny I mentioned that. It's on the top of my mind. But I personally, for myself, wouldn't choose to live in a tiny home because it kind of reminds me of a prison. Now, some people choose that, and good for you. But the point is, more and more people, after these disasters, are being forced to live in these tiny trailer homes. that's the order out of chaos. And there are many more examples of that I know you are aware of. So, again, the enemy has several tools, which include deception, meaning it appears real and good and authentic and truthful and trustworthy. That's the nature of deception. If it was blatant, it wouldn't be deception. Everybody would see it. I wouldn't have to do a channel to help you read between the lies. You would already, and many of you already do, just know that there are liars out there, cheaters, deceivers. You might even know some. So,
all of us.
confusion is another huge tool of the enemy. All the conflicting reports and data and things that just don't add up, and then more and more is pushed out there, so there's an overwhelming avalanche of information that you can barely sort through. That's why I was coming late onto the broadcast tonight, because I've been spending every waking hour and reducing my sleeping hours to research and analyze and pull together information in ideally a coherent manner that is not emotional, that is not too snarky, because I would like people to see this video, and I do have friends and even followers that are fans of Charlie Kirk and Turning Point and Trump and all the other cast of characters that go to all those summits and events and all those things. And so I actually want them to be able to think critically about these incidents so that they are not carried off and swept off by the confusion, the chaos, the trauma, the emotions, the deception, and of course the division. Because then we're at each other's throats. Oh, that's probably a very poor analogy to use. I'm going to be talking about that in a moment as well. But we're at each other's throats instead of turning on the evildoers. They've got the right against the left. And unfortunately, that's a lot of what Charlie did. Now, on this channel, I don't really foment that very much. I mean, I look at things ideally, sober-mindedly. I do have a lot of snark. But I have pointed things out about Trump. I point things out about Bob Kennedy. I point things out about the Pope, about Netanyahu, and I've taken a lot of flack for all of that. I'm not after anyone. I'm after the truth. And the truth does not have a political ideology, friends. They want you to believe it does. And that's why this is so very dangerous and divisive. The left against the right. And that is what Charlie did. Now, I will talk about him in a moment. Again, I wanted this to be a little bit more of a general introduction explaining why I'm questioning the incident and why you need to, as well, we need to be critical thinkers. We need to notice, observe, identify, analyze, and evaluate the clues, whether or not we use them later. And again, these clues are sometimes discovered when we are digging, and sometimes they're presented to us. And we have to discount some of those clues that are taking us off on another wild goose chase. And in an upcoming broadcast, not tonight, I'm going to debunk some of those things that are not adding up to me, that look like it's a whole another wild goose chase. And let me know in a comment below some that you have heard, and I will address that in an upcoming video. But we need to remember that many of these clues that are presented to us are red herrings. Even some of the video footage of any event that you can think of. And they're designed to throw us off track. They're planted there on purpose so that we can be distracted from the truth. So it's of paramount importance that we look at everything with a calm, rational, and neutral view. So you take a break from things. You don't get swept up. If your heart starts pounding, you start getting caught up in the story. You take a break. Their spell is working on you. So that's why today I'm endeavoring not to be too snarky or emotional and a little bit more level-headed and grounded, because I really want this message to get through. So when you are discovering, weighing, evaluating, analyzing these clues, it takes time. That's why short TikTok videos and Instagram memes and all of that, they don't have that much value if you just get something taken out of context. My videos run quite a long time because I want to dig in. I love one of my subscribers said, I've got my scuba gear on, Peggy, I'm ready for the deep dive. So I just need to say, don't discard the clues right off the bat without analyzing and evaluating them. That's all I ask. In my very first video, I showed images, a pattern of images that people wanted to dismiss right off the bat. Well, an isolated incident is just that. It's isolated. It's a one-off. It's like, oh, well, that's kind of odd or interesting or maybe an anomaly, right? Something that's not expected. But when you see it again and again and again, and you can tie it to the meaning of these symbols and gestures, it has meaning. Whether or not that individual meant it that way, it's a fact that these signals and symbols and numbers do have meaning for certain bad guys.
It's
That's
true.
a fact. I can't get into the mind.
I know,
of
it's so
someone's
fucked
thinking,
up, you know,
I
they
can
use
draw
the
conclusions
33 hours
based
to
on
catch the guy and all that.
clues that I gather, and then I discard the ones
fucking
over
gay.
time that don't match up, and then we come up with evidence. And evidence is used to prove a case. Now, let me also say, I don't have to prove anything, and you don't have to prove anything. We're not the ones putting forth the premise in the media. The media is. If the media says this happened, they have to prove it. I don't have to disprove anything. I mean, that's the whole nature of you put forth your presupposition and then you have to prove it. Now, in order to refute what the media is showing, I will come up with my suppositions, my theories, and then I will bring you evidence that supports that. So that's how it works, friends. So if you're unable or unwilling to do those things, to think, to be open-minded, to look at all of the clues, the evidence, to analyze, to take the time, to set aside your emotions, this video, this channel, and my substacks are not for you. So I would spend your time doing something else, because that's what we do here at The Healthy American. So, in other words, if you're about to dismiss what I'm going to share with you, because I see these comments, and you're going to dismiss it without taking the time to actually consider the possibility that some of these anomalies that I'm going to mention in just a moment, that
She
they
doesn't
are
have to
important.
consider the possibility. She's 100% fucking right, and it's provable. But yet she feels like she's got to,
Everything's a conspiracy. Don't you love that?
she's got to prove something. No, they're all fucking liars, including us. We're all liars. The whole system is built on lies. Just because they're calling out the Freemason lies, I mean, we all lie to each other about absolutely everything. Lie to ourselves about absolutely everything. The math, the science, the fucking everything. So start with those things, let alone all this bullshit.
Because it's not useful. Now, if you can't get past the question, why would they do?
The one thing that bothers me about all this is what I'm showing all of you that no one looks at is that everybody else is calling out the lies and they don't have any reality or truth. They're not offering you what I'm offering you. You can all go see what I'm showing you for yourselves, but yet still no one goes. I got the camera aimed at the clouds all the time, and I'm forced to have to talk about chemtrails and shit like that and put that in my videos when that has nothing to do with what it is I'm showing you. The only thing that I even mention the chemtrails for is because nobody's looked. It's been so many years that they've been doing this and nobody really looks. It's ridiculous. So to find the true creator's work in the trees, the rocks, the clouds, everywhere, that was a huge fucking bonus that we have. And I'm offering it to everyone, and still nobody is going and looking. And you could tell the fear of even looking just by my subscribers, just to see who's actually coming on. You know, you get 2-3 subscribers per year, you know what I mean, for what I'm showing you. And then if it ends up jumping up, real subscribers, that is, because of course robots, you get a lot of robots and shit. But how fucking weird is it that no one will wake up to truth and reality? We just wake up to more and more lies. So all these guys that are talking about Charlie Kirk shit and everything like that, come and look at what I'm showing you. You'll see that none of that matters. All that shit is all lies. There's no need to argue, get mad about any of these things that are out in the news, because they're all fucking lies. Doesn't mean that they're not forcing us to live by these lies, because they are in a way. And then one thing I haven't talked about in a while is, who is they? Who are they really? They is us. We are they. We are them. So we can't keep blaming everyone else because we've known these things that I'm showing you. We've all known them all our lives, and we've just denied them. We made up bullshit stories. Oh, I'm just seeing what I want to see. My parents told me that was witchcraft or some shit, you know. It has nothing to do with the God of the Bible, so therefore I'm not going to look. You name it, all kinds of bullshit that everybody talks. I mean, it's really crazy, really fucking crazy. So to hear all these people talking about that they're finding all the lies, yeah, they are, but you shouldn't have to look for the lies. The lies, it was also obvious. As far as the Charlie Kirk thing happened, I said it right away. As soon as you see the wife giving her speech, you knew it was a lie, right? I knew it before then, but that was the evidence that I needed, was to see her giving her fake ass fucking routine to know that whole thing was fake. I've had cats die, and I've showed more emotion, real emotion, than that bitch showed. Okay, so he did not die. They put him somewhere. He's maybe living in Israel now. Who the fuck knows? It's not. There's no sense in trying to figure it out. What happened? You just know what didn't happen. You know the only thing that did happen was you were lied to. In a million different ways. They keep fucking doing it. And now you got the vice president going out and taking over his job and all. I mean, just fucking weirdos, man. So, granted, what this lady is saying is true, but no one takes it far enough. These are the type of people that this lady that's talking now, it's the first time I ever heard her, but these type of people like this are the people I've been trying to call out for 9 years. Anybody that you would think that would be willing to go look at what it is I'm showing you, right? Because they have a name for themselves. They got hundreds of thousands of subscribers. No one can refute what they're saying because they'll be showing it to them. They won't be saying it anymore. Matter of fact, the only thing they'll have to talk about is figuring out everything that I am explaining to all of you that you can go see for yourself. But they won't even do that. I've been calling person after person. I just got to keep trying it. I have no other way of getting this out there to anybody. But the funny thing is when I get new subscribers, if I pick up 3 to 5, let's say, new subscribers in a year's time, you would think that those 3 to 5 subscribers, if they were real people, if they really understood what I was showing them, if they really got a gist of it, and even if they didn't get any of that, even if they just had a friend that could understand what it is I'm showing them, right? But I'm pretty fucking good when I do my remasters at explaining stuff visually. Right? I'm explaining things visually, not usually with the lying ass tongue, because that's all we have. We're all humans and we're all liars. When the mouth is fucking moving, that's how you know we're lying. I'll listen to her for a little while, and there was a couple other videos that people were talking about this shit, and they were also really good as well.
Do this. I've already answered it for you. And I have a video.
In other words, they had a good handle on what was going on.
I want to restate that you or I, we do not have to prove that something wasn't done. We don't have to prove that something didn't happen. That's not on us. You can't prove a negative. We don't have to prove why they did it or why they didn't do it or who did it. We don't have to prove it. But we do have to notice, assess, evaluate what we're being shown and told and determine if it passes the smell test. Otherwise, we remain gripped by our emotions, we're gullible, and the worst of all, easily controllable. And that's the end game, friends, for all of these orchestrated events. You don't want to be...
Right, but the thing is that they only see some of the lies. They don't have any appreciation for the rest of the lies. I heard a dude saying yesterday, talking about JFK being a real, the JFK assassination was real, but yet the Charlie Kirk thing is not. What the fuck does he think? Why would he think that's real? Oh, because you could see Jackie Kennedy. Matter of fact, the same guy that I'm talking about that I liked. He says, oh, you could see Jackie Kennedy, how fucked up she was for a long time. Yes, because they just pulled off a big fucking scam on her. Her husband and his family pulled off another one of their bullshit deaths. And then the same thing goes with JFK Jr. You really think him and his wife died in a plane crash? I don't think so. I don't have to fucking question it. I have to God in my mind looking for evidence. I know they lie about every fucking thing. The only people that are really dying and really getting killed, for the most part, that is us. Us, because we do it to ourselves. We're all divided, so we're out there killing each other. It's fucking ridiculous, man. It's so ridiculous. So when I hear this guy talking about how comparing the Kirk story to JFK getting assassinated, that was such an act. When you watch that video, if you have a half a wit, you're gonna watch it and see the same shit you seen in the moon landing. Okay, I see edited footage for unnecessarily edited footage. You got little clips, little pieces. The car's not in the same place in the next clip that it is in the next clip. So why did they even clip it in the first place? I'm talking about when the car coming around the corner. Then they throw in all these obvious things like they did with the Kirk story with Trump's finger disappearing. They don't have to put the finger disappearing on their AI fucking video. You're telling me the editor didn't notice that when they were putting it together? Of course they did. They put that shit out there for us so that we'll argue with our family. Say, Mom, Dad, come on. You see his finger disappearing? That's not Trump. That's not Trump doing this. This is AI bullshit. And your parents say, no, there's the technology. It just can't be. It can't be. Donald Trump wouldn't lie to us or whatever, So fucking stupid. It's all lies, all of it. So why get upset about the Charlie Kirk lies or the Trump lies when we still send our kids to school? Oh, those are all lies. We allow the schools to teach our children that outer space is what we tell them it is when we know damn well that it's not. We tell them that the sun and the moon do things that they don't. We tell them that we landed on this fucking moon. We tell them to use math with zero and infinity in it because humans are so intelligent that we thought of how to use zeros and we knew how to use them and implement them into the number systems. Like, wait, no, man, it's a lie. It was a lie, and the lie was put out there to hurt us, not to benefit us in any way. It just makes us liars about every fucking thing that we do. So if you lie about your math, because zero and infinity are a lie, and we all know it. Instead of calling it a lie, we say, oh no, it's a human construct. Yeah, well, anything that is a human construct, anything that pours off these fingertips onto ink pad, anything that comes out of this fucking brain, out of these lips, is a lie. Any of my facial expressions, if I was talking to the camera right now, any of my facial expressions are all thought out in advance so that to make you believe whatever it is I'm saying. I'm aware of it. You're aware of it. You're trying to read my face. You're trying to read my face and not just my words. You have no talent for it because it doesn't really matter what my face looks like. You're going to go along with my lies if they fit your lies. So if my lies fit your lies, you don't have to worry about reading between the lines. You don't have to worry about looking into my eyes to see if I'm telling you the truth. It doesn't matter. You're going to believe my lies no matter what, as long as they fit your, ideas of everything, whatever it might be. So, we're so fucked up. We really are. Oh, man. So I'm going to tell you where the fuck I want to put this thing right here.
Be manipulated to you. I think that is the driving force behind what I do. I cannot stand being lied to. I can't stand being cheated or deceived. I call it being bamboozled, hoodwinked, snookered, and duped. I hate that. I mean, let me know in the comment below. I think a lot of us share that. It's like, I just don't want to be lied to. I don't want to be manipulated. I don't want to be manipulated by my emotions. That's why when I come on this broadcast, I'm not playing spooky music and I'm not doing some kind of spinning image behind me and all that. And I don't do any of that. I mean, it's just me and my computer. I don't even have a camera, a separate camera. I don't have any producers. I don't have anybody preparing information for me. It is me. I do have Olivia helping me answer questions and so forth, your concerns that come in, but this is just me. And I can't stand being manipulated. I can see right off the bat, and some of you are sending me videos of, I guess, people that were kind of aligned in certain groups, and in the first few minutes, my discernment goes up, and I can tell whether or not that's a person to be trusted. And I can tell by their background, by the titles. Now, maybe somebody did that and they didn't really know what was going on, but I would say that they know. And then their language, kind of a mesmerizing language, like a hypnotic induction. It drives
Yeah,
people
that's true too. I
bonkers.
forgot about
See
that. Yeah, we also do that. Drama queens. We all are.
All of my teaching are focused on helping you read between the lines. I would say that's the common thread in everything. I talk about the rabies, you know, I don't even know what to call it, their chaos that they do on us. I talk about rabies, I talk about the chemtrails, I talk about so many things, what's going on at the dentist. It all has the same thread, reading between the lines, so you are not duped, bamboozled, hoodwinked, and snookered. I think that's a worthy calling, because I can't stand it, and I love to come on this channel when others of you are experiencing the same thing, and we can support, validate, and affirm what we're going through, because so many people around us don't see it. So I've been speaking out about it for years. The COVID, the cooties hogwash, as I call it, the kill shots, the chemtrails, and so much more. So I don't want to live with my head in the sand while the bad guys are plotting to kill, steal, and destroy. Do you? Or worse yet, I don't want to assist the bad guys by giving in, giving up, and giving over my rights and freedoms in the aftermath of these manufactured events, orchestrated for the specific purpose of creating fear, confusion, division, and chaos. So you, not you smart ones, so all the other yous, eagerly and willingly go along with their evil plan of infringing on your rights. Just look back in 2020. People fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, eagerly, giddily, excitedly. Very few stood up. It took many years for people to understand. Now, they'll understand in time as well. Think about these recent events. Second Amendment, anyone? Taking away your right to think freely and speak freely, because your speech comes from your thoughts. And your writing on social media, or like here on YouTube, it comes from your thoughts. So squelching that is taking away your literal ability to think and believe what you want to. That's going to happen in the aftermath of this. I promise you, it's already happening with laws and legislature and statutes and all that stuff. So how about treating you like a criminal? Think back to September 11th, 2001. Treating you like a criminal because you just want to get on an airplane. What's next? They're going to arrest you in a parking lot because you might be a carjacker just because you're at a parking lot? Well, just because I'm at the airport doesn't mean I'm a criminal either. All of that is illegal, unlawful, unconstitutional, and I know we barely have a constitution or laws or protections anymore. So what's going to be next? Society's going to be put under tyranny at the college campuses now. They're going to have razor wire and full body pat downs. Are they going to hire TSA agents? Oh, wait till I tell you what I found about Utah. This is kind of a long video, friends. But I'm not willing to give up my freedom in the name of safety. And that's why I do this broadcast. That's why I do this channel. That's why I do what I do. I can't stand to see you being manipulated. Maybe not you smart ones, but people are deceived. I see it day in and day out. So remember, it's not up to you to figure out what happened, but it is up to you to look at what you're being shown, discard and reject the narratives and the propaganda that defy rational explanation, that are just too coincidental to pass the sniff test, and that don't match up with reality. So right now, the media, law enforcement, and politicians are putting forth their supposition of the Charlie Kirk incident. So it's up to them to prove conclusively what they are saying and showing us is true. And I'm going to smile there because I don't think that's possible. So if this case were to be held in like a fair court of law, the opposing side would be questioning the evidence, the witnesses, the timelines, the motivations, and more to see if there are any holes in the story. And that's exactly what I do to help the American. And I've uncovered plenty of holes in plenty of stories. So I don't take things, and let me know in a comment below if you're the same. I don't take things at face value without digging deeper. I just don't. My default is if I see it on the news, I don't believe it until I do my deep digging. I wasn't there. And even if I was there, have you ever seen
Just assume it's
like
all a
the
lie.
Beijing
Why even bother
Olympics, they
digging?
had all these
Why?
characters that were somehow projected and it looked like it was real? I'm going to do a video for you all about holograms and how something can look like it's so real in front of you. So I don't, even if you're there, you can't know that it actually happened or that people were acting or put in place to do that. I certainly don't believe something is true just because I see it on TV. And I don't forget that AI, as I say, can make things look real. And I don't care if the person at the heart of any story is Republican, Democrat, Christian, Jewish, atheist, or anything in between. I apply the same scrutiny in my assessment. Otherwise, it's worthless. So you're going to be bamboozled if you don't do the same. So finally, I don't believe, well, I got much more coming, but in terms of the statement of why I'm looking into this and why you need to do as well, I don't believe in a knight in shining armor coming to save our country. It's up to each one of us individually to make choices that align with our values, with our principles, with our freedom. I didn't need a national organization to tell me that it was okay to go into a grocery store breathing oxygen. Like, I knew it was okay, and I did it, and I faced the consequences. So, no, there's no one there coming on a white horse, your knight in shining armor. Set that aside, friends. That's exactly what the media wants, for you to believe that someone else is going to take care of it for you, so you don't have to. That's the manipulation. I can't stand it. So, you have to make choices aligned that are going to support your living in truth, in reality, in freedom, in liberty. You don't give it away and outsource it to someone else. So if you are a person willing to notice, assess, evaluate, and conclude without dismissing what I'm about to show you, and take the time to consider whether or not the rules being pulled over your lives by the media and politicians and law enforcement, then you're in the right place. The rest of you can go on and see another video. So let me start by saying we're all clear, right? We're all good. You guys are good. I'll take a look at your comments in a little bit, but let's now specifically talk a little bit about Charlie Kirk. Now, I am going to do a deep dive, and in fact, I have a whole list of videos for you. Let me just read those off to you so you'll know what is coming up in future days. So I am going to do a deep dive onto Erica Kirk and the oddities and the anomalies and the curious coincidences. And I do want to be sensitive because people are going to misconstrue that as though I am attacking a grieving widow. And I am aware that that's how it's going to come off to certain people, which is why I hope they're going to watch this video first, where you need to look at these clues, because there are a lot of strange things that don't add up. I will touch on just a couple of them in this video, but I will have a deep dive for you. It's going to knock your socks off. I'm going to talk about the Tyler Robinson anomalies, the alleged shooter. Now, I'm not going to use the word assassin or assassination. Why? Because that's saying someone is guilty before they have had their justice. Justice as we know it doesn't really exist in this country any longer, but I reject the notion of calling this an assassination, which is a killing motivated by political or gains or means, and I don't know that yet. Now, you could draw some conclusions based on what you saw in the media, but we don't know whether or not this guy had a grudge against Charlie because maybe
Don't even know that Charlie's dead.
I don't know, Charlie owed him money, or maybe Charlie dated one of his old girlfriends. I mean, all those things could be. It's not likely, but it is possible, but it's not right for the media to call this an assassination until all of the evidence has been presented and evaluated and it presented in a court of law and either accepted or rejected.
It should just be called a hoax. That's all. Just another hoax. Not based on reality, as usual.
I've been through it myself personally, so I know you can understand that. So I'm going to talk about all of that, those anomalies. I'll touch on a tiny bit of it for you this
Yeah.
quite conscious
Yeah,
that
it's
people
true.
were
They always do that.
traumatized
They did that at
and
Sandy
shaken
Hook
with
too
the
and all
words.
that.
And I also want to know, how did the media find these witnesses? Did they go and seek them out, or did somebody call the media? And I'm going to do a deep dive on that, including, I might do that for you. I'm not going to be able to do it tonight. I've got so much, but I'll do it for you in an upcoming video. The deaf student witnesses, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll do that one for you as well. I'm going to share with you the strange connection between the Ukrainian stabbing and the Charlie Kirk shooting, and things that just kind of are interesting coincidences. I've got a whole deep dive on things that just don't add up about this event, and I'm going to talk also about the Freemasonry and the occult signs and symbols, whether it's just a coincidence or whether it could be construed as evidence. We're going to talk about the holograms. We're going to look at the CIA connections to the Charlie Kirk event, and I'm going to do a deep dive on Turning Point. All of those are going to be set videos. Keep watching my Charlie Kirk playlist to see when those are going to be uploaded. So I can't cover every single aspect in every single video I make, so I'm focusing on different aspects in different videos. So what we're going to talk about here is just a very, 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 very brief overview of, because I actually want to speak to people who are aligned with Charlie Kirk, or who believe what I'm doing is insensitive and callous and off the mark, and I don't know what I'm talking about, and how dare I, and all of that. So let's just shift gears a little bit, and this message is kind of intended for those, because I do have a number of people that I know that watch Turning Point. And so I have watched a number of Charlie Kirk's appearances. A couple over the years, not so much, but in the last several days, I've really dedicated to my time to looking at that, so I would know more about this person and all of that. So, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, he does come across as calm, confident, cordial, and questioning. He's got these prove me wrong events with his group called Turning Point USA. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, which is, multi-million dollar nonprofit that he started when he was 17. Interestingly, his wife started a nonprofit when she was 17. I just think that's really neat. So anyhow, Charlie Kirk does these prove me wrong events, and he takes questions from audience members and the event attendees, and I think it's actually quite compelling. And I don't know if some of those are planted questions or people were told to ask these things. For the most part, it does look sincere. These college students, kind of spewing their college stuff, what they learned. So the videos usually show that Charlie is cordial. He normally waits for the debater to finish their statement, and he hardly ever interrupts. Sometimes he does, but not that much. And he often will set the microphone down while the debater is speaking, and then he follows up with very targeted questions that often stump the questioner. And so I think a lot of the questions he's posed, especially about abortion and immigration, they're quite compelling. And I thought some of them were actually very engaging. The conversations do get heated, and Charlie has taken some flack for his interviews on, as I say, all the hot button topics like abortion, gender issues, immigration, all the things that they talk about on college campuses. And as I said, there are a number of people that I know personally who followed Charlie. They liked the work he did, and they saw him as a die-hard Trump supporter, which he was. And thus, he was beyond reproach. What he did couldn't be criticized. Looking at this event now is considered distasteful and insensitive by certain people. Questioning what happened with Trump's assassination attempts was also considered in bad taste by many people. There were others that could see clearly what was going on. But I would say probably most people don't know that much about Charlie, other than what they saw in those videos, in his speaking events. So I think Charlie fans in particular would benefit from the deep dives that I'm going to do, because that way they're not just going to accept the narrative being presented in the media and then go along with the aftermath of these inflicted solutions that are going to be imposed on us. So especially for people that consider themselves conservative. I think they're the ones that really need to be doing the deep dives, and that's what I'm going to do in my effort to try to help people. I don't know why, I think some people can't be helped, actually, I don't know. So as I said, I've got an entire Charlie Kirk playlist, I've got stuff on my Substack, and I want people to just read between the lines when it comes to the Charlie Kirk incident and any other event that's sensationalized in the mainstream media. So again, people are reading what they saw on the news, and there are a lot of comments online that show that people are absolutely devastated. I don't know if these are bot comments, I don't know if they're bought and paid for, or AI, or just bots on the internet that are making these. I think a number of them are sincere. People are devastated. They're saying, you know, losing this young man who we are told was a father, we are told he was a husband, and that he was such a powerful influencer on college campuses, really reaching young students and sort of firing them up and igniting this new movement for conservatism. And I just have to say something here. If you were a skeptical person, and if you were cynical, and if you wanted to consider that this is how perfect to have a young, congenial, pretty well-spoken, very tall, very imposing, always kind of normally you have someone like that in the media, rising to fame at the age of 17 on Fox News and everything. You know, the young people kind of relate to that because they were around his age. Now, they're kind of aged out at 31, we're told. But think about it. People that heard Charlie share his faith. And I don't know what's in the hearts and minds. I don't know what's in people's souls between them and God. I can look at some of the fruits because he did have some dealings with Scientologists and Freemasons and all that. But let's just say that a person, even an authentic person, who has ignited this new conservative movement so that people really are in favor of the things that I think a lot of us are, like get the government out of our business and, you know, keep our constitutional rights, our given rights, I should say, because the rights don't come from the Constitution. And then to have such an incident like this happen, and people so devastated, and then the aftermath, to come out with these new laws that people never would have gone for in the first place. It's like a perfect scheme. So some people would say that, but let me tell you that I first heard of Turning Point back in the early convent. Oh, can I say that? What I meant to say was Cootie days. I'm getting a little more bold on my channel here. In the Cootie's Hogwash days, and I was attending these events, I was speaking at events, and I saw flyers being passed out about Turning Point. I had never really heard of it before. I even met one person who said, "Oh, I'm going to go for a job to organize at college campuses." So there were people who were paid to go to the college campuses. It was not really a grassroots organization. They were paid as a job to go to these places, go to different schools, and start up these Turning Point USA chapters for the purpose of getting the students, you know, hooked on conservatism. And what's interesting on my other deep dive, I'm going to show you that a lot of the posts from Turning Point only got like, I don't know, a couple hundred likes. It wasn't like it was, you know, outrageous number of views and likes and all of that. It was almost like they were trying to drum up the popularity of these events. And some of the footage that I saw had very few people there. I mean, Charlie in some cases was just sitting at a table kind of waiting for people to come by, and one or two people said, "What are you doing?" And then, you know, there were others where maybe there were a couple of them or something, nowhere near what we saw. In fact, if you can do the research, help me with the research, I could not find any reports of how many people had attended Charlie's events in 2024. The actual campus events. I'm not talking about.
It wasn't that good.
With all of the other.
Not as good as they're making it out to be.
In fact, the characters who are doing these summits and conferences with paying go. I'm talking about these completely wrong campus events.
That's why you would have thought that it would have been Ben Shapiro or Candace Owens or something like that they would have did their fake pew on.
Jot it down. That number 3 is going to pop up again.
Charlie wasn't the one that everybody expected they were going to do their fake out.
Would Columbo discard that? I ask you. All right. So anyway, of course, these events, at least during the after these hogwash days, there were a lot of people trying to connect with other truthers, so I guess it makes sense that people were passing out information about Turning Point, and that's kind of all I really knew about it. So it wasn't until September 10th at Charlie's Utah event that I started to do my deep digging, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't being bamboozled, duped, hoodwinked, and snookered by the same media that brought us the COVID hogwash, the kill shots, the chemtrails, and everything else that hopefully you didn't fall for. So we can trust what we see on TV, right? It's stunning how many people do. As I say, I've got another video coming, I've got several videos coming up for you, but let me just touch on a couple of things, because we're going to be looking at Charlie's background, and that'll be a deep dive. We're going to look at the apparent lack of any family members, like there's no siblings, there's no parents, there's no aunts, there's no uncles, there's no nieces and nephews, there's nobody but Charlie, basically. Now, there is a strange fib on Wikipedia. Well, we're told that Charlie had parents and apparently they passed away, and he was raised in Chicago. There's another clue, jot it down. What do you know about Chicago? Well, the hotbed of communism, wanting to take away the rights in this country. A lot of bad things come out of Chicago. A lot of good things come out of Chicago. I have dear friends that are from Chicago. But you have to say, look at the characters that come out of Chicago. It could mean nothing, but it is a clue. Jot it down. Let's keep it. We can discard it later. There's a fib on Wikipedia that said Charlie's dad was an architect whose firm, now I actually cut this, I did a screen grab because when I went back to Wikipedia today, it had already been scrubbed. And in all of my open tabs, and oh my gosh, I have so much on my desktop, I will share that screen grab with you in an upcoming video where it says Charlie's father was an architect whose firm, Charlie's dad's firm, built Trump Towers. Well, in the upcoming video, I'm going to show you why that's not true. He had nothing to do with Trump Towers. It's a completely different architectural firm. Had nothing to do with Chicago, and a very well-known architect was the head of that. And no, Charlie's dad, as far as I could tell, wasn't a part of it. It's also interesting that on that Wikipedia page, we find out that Charlie's full name, here's another clue. Are you ready? Charlie James Kirk. Anybody catch on that clue? Now, this was actually even before my time, but there was kind of a real popular, I think there's still all sorts of reruns, and the actor himself still pops up again and again, and it was called Star Trek. In Star Trek, the main character was Captain James Kirk. Just a quickie. I don't know if that means anything or not, but it's a fact. And it's a fact that Charlie's name is Charles James Kirk, and Charlie's such a friendly name. I can trust Charlie. It's such like a friendly, easygoing name. So anyhow, some people are saying it's kind of given the Captain Kirk vibes from Star Trek. May mean nothing, just mentioning it. I'm also going to touch upon Charlie's astonishing rise to prominence at the age of 17, being on Fox News, and he started his nonprofit, which now, as I say, brings in tens of millions of dollars every year. And there's some interesting, I'm going to do a deep dive showing you some kind of questionable dealings of this money and where it goes to some other companies that aren't disclosing, and it gets a little murky there, friends. I'm going to share that with you. I'm going to share in an upcoming video Charlie's relatively under the radar marriage to Erica. Keep in mind, these are people, Erica included. Speaking of names, see how that's spelled? It's a clue. You can discard it if you want. Erica, R-I-K, K-I-R, Kirk, K-I-R, Erica Kirk. That's cute. I like it. I'm not saying that's not her name. Remember that movie called The Wedding Singer? And Julia was going to marry her fiance. His last name was Julia. She was going to be Julia Gulia. Everybody thought that was funny. Anyway, think about this. Erica's got like a booming Instagram page, which I'm going to share with you in a deep dive all about some anomalies and oddities, questions I'd like to have answered. And again, Charlie all over the internet since he was 17 years old, on the news. Now they say they wanted their wedding to be private. That's fine, a lot of people have private weddings, but there's a couple of anomalies here. So there were no attendees, very few attendees at the wedding. It was performed, my understanding, by Rob McCoy of Godspeed Church, and make of that what you will. And the pictures that I saw that I'll share with you in an upcoming video show them standing in front of a brick wall, and that's a clue. You should jot it down, because it may mean nothing, but it is a clue. Columbo would not discard it until he evaluated it to see if it popped up again and again, like maybe in Charlie's podcasting studio, where Erica did her talk 2 days after the incident, and she was standing in front of a brick wall as well. Those are clues, because bricks are a symbolism of the Freemasons. And that's another clue that you need to jot down, because it's going to pop up again and again, especially when we talk about the state of Utah. I'll just give you the punchline. It was basically settled by Freemasons, and I've got evidence for that. And I'll do a deep dive on that as well. This is just a very, very surface overview to let you know what's coming. So Rob McCoy performed this service, and we were told, Erica even said on her Instagram page, that there were no groomsmen or bridesmaids. Nobody really there to witness it. Although Turning Point USA later did foot the bill for a lavish party for them at some highfalutin hotel, because that's a good way to spend nonprofit money that you might have donated to Turning Point. Just saying. Just saying. Now, I would also say that in this day and age of social media, especially on Erica's page, where she, on her Instagram page, where everything is being shown, but she wouldn't show her wedding. I find that an oddity, an anomaly. It could happen, but I'm going to jot it down as something odd that might have meaning down the road. I'm also going to do a deep dive on Erica's strange behavior, kind of before the incident, like on her Instagram page, and after the incident, including, as I say, speaking publicly within 48 hours with great composure and dry eyes. And I know some widows who couldn't even speak at their husband's funeral weeks later because they were so devastated. And many said she seemed, it was quite chipper and cheerful. Yep. And then she showed footage of herself at the coffin, which many said was really creepy, because she had to have somebody filming her, and even if she didn't know that they were
It's
filming
fucking
her,
weird.
she posted it on her Instagram page, showing her rings with the G. That's a clue I'm going to share with you in just a moment. And many people said those hands in the coffin look like creepy. I had a photo somewhere. I'll do a deep dive for you later, friends, because I've got so many images and links and everything I want to share with you in the deep dive. But yeah, it is strange. Many people have said, yeah, I had an open casket at the funeral. I went up to my loved one. I touched them. I'm sure that happens. Do you record it and put it on Instagram?
Right.
Especially when you're so private, you wouldn't even have a video of your wedding? It's an anomaly. It's an oddity. Yep. So I do have to show you some pictures, because Erica has some very strange posts on Instagram. Well, let me just share these with you. I'm going to share my screen. In my first video that I did, I showed you that image that she had of her baby's hand making the Freemason symbol of 666, which people say is an A-OK sign. Do you have any pictures of you doing that A-OK sign?
Oh, sure.
Like everything's okay. You're like, oh, Peggy, that's just the OK sign. I never use it, and it's actually a very vulgar gesture in many cultures. Like, you would never do that in Brazil or anything. It would be like flipping somebody off with your middle finger. So it does create 3 sixes, and it's a clue. You can discard it later, but it is a clue, and it won't discard it today. Check picture of her baby. I showed it in my very first video. And many of you, I thought it was under a piece of glass, like taking a picture, you could see. But others said it was on a Xerox machine. So she placed her infant's hand, and I'm not even going to do the symbol, in the 666 OK symbol, with her hand, we're told, and Charlie's hand on top of it, pressed onto a photocopy machine. And she posted that on Instagram. Now, the reason it's important to me is because there are so many pictures of Charlie doing that same gesture. There are pictures of Trump doing it. There's pictures of Russell Brand and all the cast of characters are
Yeah.
doing that, all the Hollywood celebrities. And so it's a pattern, and patterns need to be noticed and observed and evaluated to see whether or not there's something there. If there are symbols being flashed, gangs have gang symbols, they flash them to have meanings. So to dismiss that, to say, oh, it didn't mean anything, is naive. So once you evaluate it and analyze it, and you see there's a pattern here, what are they trying to say? A Healthy American sent me a picture I'm going to show in the upcoming broadcast of Erica in the car. I believe it was leaving the event, or maybe going somewhere. I don't even know if she was at the event. Flashing that symbol outside of the car window. These are anomalies. These are oddities.
No, just to
These
keep you all
are
busy
bizarre
talking about
coincidences that I'm jotting down as clues. So what I want to do is share my screen, and I've got to show you these bizarre posts on Instagram. Remember, you know them by their fruit. She loves to wear this ring that has the letter G. And there's another ring that looks like Charlie's. This is on her right hand. It looks to be a right hand. I might have messed that up from time to time. So I don't believe that's a wedding ring. And of course, Charlie is always wearing a gold ring that some people believe is a Masonic ring. And his bodyguard is wearing the identical ring. It's kind of weird, like you're a married man and you would have the same ring as your bodyguard on your ring finger, your married ring finger. That's another oddity, friends. So here's the G and the flashy gold and diamonds. Hey, you love gold and diamonds? Go do it. I like jewelry. That's not a problem. And oh, here we've got the G is a symbol for Freemasonry. You can dismiss it, or you can keep that as a clue that might be important down the road. So there's a G, there's a G. We're told that her daughter's name is Gigi. And some have said that that also indicates I need to dig a little deeper into that, but it's quite interesting to me. On her Instagram page, she sure has a lot of pictures of shoes. Now, shoes are a calling card. They appear in a lot of orchestrated events. People say they lost their shoes at that incident. I can't remember the state now. It happens in every state. It happened in a bowling alley. The guy said, oh, I didn't have my shoes on. I was running barefoot down the down the bowling lane. And I pointed that out at how strange. People said, well, he was changing into his bowling shoes. Well, you would have socks on. So mentioning shoes or showing shoes, Tom Hanks has a lot of weird, creepy shoes on his Instagram page. It's just weird to me. The other weird thing is it has, it got cut out of this picture, but she's showing two basketballs very clearly with the label Wilson. Now I look at everything for clues. Columbo would do as well. You look at the logos, you look at the colors, you look at the symbolism. Yes, you might read into things, too deeply. Oh, why are you reading too much into that? Maybe, but I'm not going to discount it right off the bat. Wilson was the name of the ball that Tom Hanks had in the movie Castaway that looked so creepy and eerie, like a handprint, a bloody handprint, which I'm not going to go into any more detail because I don't talk about exploiting children on this channel. Plenty of other people do, but let's just say if you wanted to do a deep dive on that, do a deep dive on Tom Hanks. The movie Castaway, I think that's what it was called. I can't even remember if that's the name of it. Wilson and the white soccer ball and the red bloody handprint, and draw your own conclusions. Why is she showing this? She's talking about having a baby and she's standing on a basketball court. Maybe these are supposed to be the two babies. Maybe she had a basketball under her blouse instead of, I don't know. I'm not drawing that conclusion. But here you go. Here's her ring. She's got her Gigi wearing a pair of tennis shoes with the one-eye symbolism. Friends, I don't need to tell you, I don't think, that the one-eye symbolism is also the all-knowing Illuminati. Why would you do that unless you're sending a signal? Now, this is creepy. She's so private that she didn't want to show any videos of her wedding, but she's showing a video of herself collecting vials of blood. A lot of vials of blood. And if you play the video, which I'll link for you in an upcoming, or just go to her Instagram page and look at it. Maybe you can find things I didn't. She shows herself compiling these vials of blood and putting them in a plastic bag because it's for her wellness. Oddity Is that bizarre to anybody but me? Okay, come on. Bizarre. You have to admit. There's much more on Erica that I'm going to do a deep dive, but that I just had to bring to you right off the bat. I'm going to do a deep dive on Charlie's creation of Turning Point. So he did it with the help of this mysterious older man named Bill Montgomery. I could not find very much on him. He's described only as a Tea Party activist, and there he's doing his little 666. This picture caught him kind of in mid-gesture. It's a clue. I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to discard it because I'm seeing a pattern. It's reported that Bill died of COVID in 2020 at the age of 80. Well, what do you make of that, friends? May he rest in peace. 80 is a pretty good long life. I did a whole video, deep dive, several days ago about what really happened when we're told that people succumbed to that mystery disease. I need to stay on this Substack a little bit to show you some more pictures. So Turning Point and Charlie have a very strange connection to Scientology, to Mormons, to Freemasonry, and the CIA. Actually, I need to edit some of this. This is a rough draft because I came across a report that the CIA was holding a recruiting event on September 12th at the very campus at Utah Valley College. Now, it's possible that was a previous year. So when I went to go back to look for that, I couldn't find the exact article again. But I am going to tell you about the CIA and its connection to Orem, Utah. And what comes out of the CIA, everybody? Just maybe drop a comment. Do you believe, let me come off the screen and share for a moment. Do you believe that there are such things as CIA assets, meaning individuals who are told to portray themselves as one thing, but they're something else? Right? Have you ever seen like a spy movie? Do you believe in spies? Do you believe there are people that are given a cover identity in order to carry out
Of course.
different, initiatives of the CIA? Or do you believe that doesn't happen? Do you think the CIA only collects evidence and there's no such things as secret, clandestine agents? Well, if you go on the website, the CIA website, you'll see you can filter their job openings by the clandestine services, which means it's all undercover. You have a fake identity, a fake name, a fake background, just saying. And the headquarters are in Orem, Utah, for one of these global operations. I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. Yeah, I like to dig. How about you? I don't take things at face value. These are all clues, and I'm adding them up. So I am going to go back and share my screen a little bit. And but the CIA does hold recruiting events on college campuses. They're probably looking for a person who can present themselves well, speak clearly, be persuasive, charismatic, someone who would appeal to whatever project that they're carrying out. It happens, friends. You can go to the CIA website, you can look under recruitment, they go to the college campuses, and they went or are going. It said September 12th. That would be creepy if they did it a couple of days after the event, so possibly it was a previous year. I have that screen grab somewhere in my oodles and oodles of screen grabs filling up my desktop right now. So let me share my screen, and we're going to take a look here. Again, all of this is going to be a deep dive. Today is cursory. This is just like the overview. So I did a deep dive on Turning Point's Instagram page, and they were promoting this event. So this is a promotional image, meaning if they put it there intentionally. Do you see what I see? You see that right here? See that? What is that a symbol for? Yeah, ain't good. And if you go, there are a couple of pictures with that same image on the Turning Point website. Just saying. Just saying. So, I got a couple other pictures to share with you, but I am going to cover in an upcoming video the actual incident in Utah, including the extraordinarily large crowd when he normally draws far fewer people. The anomaly, remember, an anomaly is something that is out of the ordinary, it's unexpected, it doesn't follow the traditional pattern. It doesn't exactly defy logic, but it's kind of like, So the anomaly of Charlie wearing a bright white t-shirt with the word freedom on it, he favors dark clothing. Most of his appearances, he's wearing a dark t-shirt, and when he goes on stage, he's got pretty much the same blue suit all the time, which we saw in the casket, by the way. And somebody said that one of the buttons was unbuttoned, might have meant something. I'll have to dig deeper. Let me know what you think about that. These are close friends. I'm gathering them all. So what was also weird, and I'm going to show this to you when I do my deep dive, most of the videos of Charlie are super clear, like crystal clear, because they're done with a video camera, that high definition camera, because they're going to upload these to YouTube or Instagram. And the people that are speaking, it's really clear. But the only footage we have of this event is really grainy. Where's all the cell phone footage of people that were right there? Some of the events that I've seen that they uploaded to their channel, Turning Point and others, they've got people standing around with cell phones recording what's going on because they want to say, hey, I was at this Charlie Kirk event. Where's that cell phone footage? Some of the smiling, smirking witnesses that they drummed up said there was no cell phone service. All the cell phones got shut off. And then other witnesses said they were texting people. So which is it? There was no cell service, or you were able to text people? There's a lot of weird things that come up with these witnesses. A lot of people talking about their families scattering and strangers taking their children and to a safe place. Now, why wouldn't the parent be with the child? And why would they be applauding strangers taking their children away? That's all upcoming, friends, in my compilation of the witnesses. But there were many anomalies happening there. The anomalies of the shot, the puffing of the air. I was among the first people to even talk and explain what a squib device is. And I guess a lot of people saw my video and I'm glad that the information is getting out there. So yes, there are all these anomalies and so many more. I'm going to cover those in a separate video. But again, let's talk about the witnesses for a moment. Why were they smiling and smirking? Why did they seem so unaffected by this trauma and tragedy? Why were they not devastated? More importantly, where did they come from? Did they go up to TV cameras? We were told everybody fled the scene. Did they come back to speak to the media? How did the media find them, or how did they find the media? Everybody was running away, we were told. The families were scattered. Why did it look like these smiling, smirking witnesses were trying to recite, like memorized points, like a script? Even one guy started saying something, he's like, and kind of backtrack, like when you're trying to remember something in a recital, like if you're playing the piano, you make a wrong note, and kind of start back from where you left off. It's very strange. Why did they insert such obvious talking points, like needing more security and, the free speech issue? It was very strange, almost like they were told to talk about these things and to say, other people are applauding what happened. How would they know that if it was right there on the scene? These things are anomalies, friends. They're clues. They don't add up. Why were the deaf witnesses talking, signing, and I vetted this with one of my Healthy Americans who is deaf, and I'm going to read that response for you in my video about the deaf witnesses. The woman was nodding her head and going along with the other deaf person who was signing. She wasn't looking at the hands, she was looking at his eyes. So even if she could hear, the deaf witness wasn't saying anything, but she was looking at the eyes and going like this, very clearly not looking at his hands. And then when it was her time to sign, he did the same thing. He's looking at her eyes, not at her hands. And the strangest thing of all is when she was signing, and I even asked I sent the video to my deaf friends, she could look at it to see maybe the subtitles were off or something, because there was an interpreter who was interpreting all this, and the subtitles said, and I quote, the woman said, "My deaf friend called me on the phone and I answered it. And he told me again and again that Charlie had been shot. So I asked my friend, maybe is that how deaf people talk? Do they say that something told them something? You know, they said something. Can they answer a phone? Is there a hearing device? And she said, no, if they're really deaf, they just answer the phone. And she didn't say she got a text. So I'll share that with you in an upcoming video. And the reason it's important, the reason this is a clue, is because Charlie was called out for criticizing these sign language interpreters that were on these other orchestrated events, like these fires and everything. Now, I probably said it was a distraction as well, but he did it in such a way that a lot of people got angry at him. So it could be construed that these deaf witnesses were trotted out to kind of make amends with the deaf community. I could be totally off base. I'm counting it as a clue and an oddity at the least. How about the very first, reported by AP, Associated Press, the very first witness was called Tyler, are you ready? Get a gun. Get a gun. Tyler, where have I heard that name before? Oh, that's right. The shooter, alleged shooter's name is Tyler. Well, they inserted that name in the story early on. Tyler, get a gun, was one of the first. And he only came on by by audio on a phone call. So I guess it was easier for him to read the script since he wasn't in front of the camera. Just also like a CSIT friends. We're pretty far into the video. Those who don't care for what I'm talking about have left a long time ago. All right, I'm going to do another video, lots of videos coming up for you about the strange things about this alleged shooter, again, also named Tyler. And I wasn't the first to point this out, but I got this from a Substacker, Sage Hannah. I will warn you with quite vulgar language frequently, but I did see this and I thought it was worth sharing. So here's a picture. There's no booking ID. Normally there is in the corner, you know, like the ID. It has the booking ID and the location. That's not there. Maybe in Utah they don't do it that way. There he is. Oh, I mean, whoops. Oh, no, that's the other one. That's the other assassin. And it's also interesting. I have this in another Substack for you. The nose is exactly at the level 66. It's a clue. Take it or leave it, but that's what it is. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Again, I didn't, and there's the booking ID. So that booking ID is not attached to Tyler. And we are also told that Tyler was being held privately, not with the other inmates, because of the sensitive information, whatever, I'm sure, whatever. I'm also going to do a video about the fact that this took place in Utah, which has very strong, deep CIA ties. I'm going to talk about the history of the Mormons, which is rooted in Freemasonry. Did you know that? I'm going to share with you the new flag of Utah that came on the scene in 2024. I think I'll share that with you in just a moment. In fact, I'll do that right now. So the old flag of Utah looked like it was maybe created by a person. This looks like it was created by a computer. Why is it important that it's a beehive? Well, that's because a beehive has to do with, well, let's take a look here, shall we? Here we have the Masonic Lodge, number 33, the symbolism of the beehive. It's pretty small text here, but it basically says that the beehive displays Masonic values. And here I got this just off of, I Googled it. In Freemasonry, the beehive is a symbol of industry, unity, and cooperation, representing a harmonious and industrious society where individuals work together for the common good. I'm sure there are people that are willing to portray their roles in order to further the common good or get paid for it anyway. It embodies the virtues of diligence, perseverance, mutual support. The beehive is also an emblem of the Masonic Lodge itself, highlighting the structured and supportive environment where Freemasons develop as individuals and serve society. Now, there's a couple of other interesting things. Again, I'll do a deep dive on this for you, friends, because The Mormons started out as Freemasons, Joseph Smith and his ilk, and of course they settled in Utah. I would have to do a little more info on that. And here's what also is interesting. Remember the Ukrainian neck incident? I told you I was going to be covering that as well. He had a bee. The alleged stabber had a bee tattooed on his neck. Are you getting the neck symbolism? And this, for some reason, looks like a number 6, this little gray hair. Peggy, there you go again, making mountains out of molehills. It's called a clue, friends, and I'm going to tuck it away just like Columbo would. It may mean nothing, and it may mean something. That is definitely a 6 right there. One gray hair curled in the number 6. And that's a clue, and if you don't know about the numbers, I'll be breaking down all the symbols for you in an upcoming video. This is pretty bold. I would say that's very persuasive that we see the state of Utah was changed from its, oh, what the heck, I'll just show you the old Utah flag. It also had a beehive on it, but not as prominent. Why was it changed in 2004? I would like to know. And let's take a look here, shall we? We'll see what Google serves up to us. And the other flag, like a flag, here it says Industry, Utah, and there's a little beehive, 1896. Now there's no name of the state. There is a star. I don't know what the star represents in the state of Utah, but it's kind of interesting that they have it there. Again, just a little clue that I'm going to tuck away for later. So here, I want to talk a little bit about the connections in Orem, Utah, in specific. Did you know many of you would give him the People's Choice Award for the Super Duper, as one of my Healthy Americans called it, the Duper's Delight? I'm going to have another video coming up with the Duper's Delight People's Choice, and you get to vote on the winner. And I think a lot of people would vote for Robbie Parker. And if you don't know Robbie Parker, just do an internet search, and he'll come up from the Shady Nook extravaganza that they're still trying to milk all these years later. And guess what? Robbie Parker is from Orem, Utah. Well, there's a lot of CIA people in Orem, Utah, and I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. In fact, Utah, as the first, and I quote, intelligence community comprehensive national cyber security initiative. I'm going to share that with you. Guess what the code name is, friends? Are you ready? The code name for this initiative is Bumblehive. How do you like them apples? You see, they're mocking. They're rubbing your noses in it. They are, it's very despicable. Then it's like they want us to see it. And they want us to be outraged that we can see it and the others can't. So the state of Utah has a beehive for a flag. The other alleged neck incident, the guy had a bee tattooed on his neck. The country's intelligence thingamajiggy called the Bumblehive. I'm going to share that with you right here. Here it is. And this is kind of hard to see, but I will do a deep dive for you in an upcoming video. And it basically says, and you can go to Domestic Surveillance Directorate, Defending Our Nation, Securing the Citizens, Utah Data Center. The Utah Data Center, codenamed Bumblehive, is the first intelligence community comprehensive national cybersecurity initiative data center designed to support the intelligence community's efforts to monitor, strengthen, and protect you. Oh, it says the nation. So they want to monitor you, and it's in Utah. And let me share this other very interesting thing. I did another little deep dive here, and this is called CIA Global Intelligence. You can go to that.gov. I'll have links for you in my deep dive. Our office locations: Orem, Utah. Who would have thought that this event took place in basically the CIA headquarters of Utah, Orem, Utah, the Beehive State, which is tied to the Mormons and the Masons. And the Global Initiative head office So I'll do a deep dive on that for you, friends. We're going to wrap up here because I also have to do a deep dive on the aftermath of what's going to happen next. Because, as you know, there is going to be Charlie Kirk statues. There already is a GoFundMe, probably many. And of course, no connivers are going to come out of the woodwork and try to deceive people into putting up GoFundMe, saying that it's going to go to the family. They're multimillionaires after all. Of course, they need a GoFundMe. There's going to be vigils, and there are going to be new laws taking place. Yes, I think there is one my assistant sent me, Olivia. She said it's the Charlie Kirk bill is being introduced now into our federal Congress. And so there will be lots of new laws, just like after 9/11, taking away your freedom. But this time, instead of people grumbling about it, they're going to applaud it. It's in honor of Charlie, after all.
Yeah, he's been really pissing me off with that. Usually I can get him once in a while, you know, I get him like 2 games in there. Harvey gets me 2 games and then I'll win 1. And then the next time we play, I'll win 2.
For one they shall say peace and safety, then the sudden
We're just learning.
We did pretty much a good job, a lot longer than I anticipated. I thought this was going to be a relatively short video. So I wanted to mention some of the things that you probably all are already aware of, to let you know that I am aware of it as well. I have pages and pages and pages of notes. I've got multiple Windows open of Substacks that I'm working on, and videos that I've been reviewing, and there's so much more to share. Ideally, I would like to stop talking about this after this week, because I don't want to be do these things. It's such an unchristian nature. Well, actually, we're supposed to expose evil. We're supposed to expose deception. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And I want to help people not fall prey. I don't want people to be devastated and afraid, thinking that they're going to be, and of course they trotted that out in the meet, with the witnesses as well, but they were so afraid that they're going to be hit next. And this other narrative being pushed that somehow you're going to be murdered because of your views, that doesn't happen that often, friends. But they're putting that narrative out there for fear and division. So I don't really want to keep talking about this, but I will until I feel that I've gotten my message out, which is why I'm going to do a deep dive on these things, even if it appears insensitive to some. You can hear I'm almost, speaking of throats, was that insensitive? I'm sort of stressing my voice right now, friends, so I'm going to rest my voice. I will be back with you doing some of these videos. You might have some shorter videos when I'm doing compilations and so forth, and that way you can kind of consume them, digest them, understand them, and share them with others. This is quite a deep dive, and I want to thank everybody for staying so long through the end of this video. If you just hopped on in the middle of the live stream, go back to the beginning, because the beginning part of this video, I think, is some of the most important information that I've ever shared here on this channel. I'm going to have a separate Substack just talking about critical thinking and why it's so important. And I will be referring to this video again and again and again so that people understand why looking for clues and digging deeper and reading between the lies is of utmost importance. All right, thank you everybody for being on board. I will take a look at your comments after this broadcast, and I will also do a video with a compilation of your comments that are so insightful and that are sure to educate, inspire, encourage, and empower
you accept that disinformation narrative, that we don't have anything that can move like that, human style, a priori, you're going to reach the conclusion that everything that those objects are doing and have been doing are alien. CIA is using advanced tech to stage false alien abductions in Brazil and Argentina, targeting their word peasants before it's psychological warfare battles. It's in black and white. Media corporations are vertically and horizontally integrated into this covert system. And if you actually speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you will be canceled.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Watch Mojo's Unveiled podcast. I'm your host, Rob, and before we kick it off with today's episode, this is your reminder that Unveiled is available on all podcast platforms. So go check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen. Follow us, leave a rating and a review. It really helps us out. Today's guest is Dr. Stephen Greer. He is a physician, author, and founder of the Disclosure Project, who has been at the forefront of unveiling secrets about government secrets about UFOs and advanced technology for decades at this point. He joins me today to talk about that, as well as the CE5 protocol that he has pioneered, which is a protocol for human-initiated ET contact. So we will get into all of that and much more. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Greer.
Yeah, great being with you.
So you need no introduction for a lot of the people listening to this podcast. You do a lot of them. So I'm just going to go out there and ask you, at this point in 2025, where are we at in terms of full and transparent disclosure and basically mainstream acceptance of an ET presence? Are we
No, because it's all fucking lie.
Things definitely seem to have changed, but well, I couldn't imagine that I had to make this video analysis, but I've been sent this clip like hundreds of times to every channel telling me, so the real shooter was to the right next to Charlie Kirk, right there, in front of our very eyes, and I have told, I've been patient, I've told these people, and you know what you're saying is not, physically possible for many reasons because the angle doesn't fit, and so many other stuff. And they insist that I'm part of the cover-up, I am saying nonsense, oh, what happened to you? You always ask questions. Well, I usually ask questions when they don't defy the laws of physics. But since you keep sending this clip to me, I will explain in detail.
Maybe he did not get shot at all.
The shooter,
Maybe he did not die at all.
Makes
Because that's more
no
likely what
damn
happened.
sense. So let's start with that. This is
Starting up a bunch of wars.
this is not going to be anything graphic in this video. I have covered everything you need to explain the mental retardation of those who are entertaining this theory. So they say that somehow the guy in the dark navy shirt to the right of her and the guy with the white hat were on air.
feel like there was no crime. Okay, so, and, and, and she told you a crime was committed? Saying, are you trying to create a crime? Or did she say that a crime was committed? And the story, what in her story says I committed a crime? Well, you're saying you think I committed some kind of crime?
What's good, YouTube? It's BB Pat back in with another video on the reaction. And today's video is from St. Petersburg, where these St. Petersburg officers were trying to get this guy's ID because apparently this lady called the cops and said that this guy was following her. When in reality, he wasn't. He was just minding his business. But yeah, these officers were trying to get his ID, and he was trying to say, like, what crime did I commit? They could not say a crime. They just kept saying they was investigating. They couldn't even name a crime that he did or even try to explain what type of crime he could have broke. I'm gonna watch it, give my reaction. Let me know what y'all think about the comment section, and let's get into the video.
What's up, boss?
Are you following this lady by any chance?
Nah. I don't know, probably because she's high or something. She started just screaming at me. Said she was calling the police, and I was like, alright. I was coming down this direction heading south. I had my AirPods in. She yelled something. She was over here, I think, walking north. And then I was heading south. She yelled something, like, I don't know what she said. I couldn't hear. I had AirPods in. I took them off. I took one out. I turned around. I was like, what's that? And then she said something like, stop following me. You're a fucking weirdo. Da 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 da. We started talking all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, and she said something was on the phone with somebody telling her to come pick me up, call the police. And she's like, no, I'm gonna call the police. And then I was like, all right.
Just call right now. See you have to come out there and don't reach your call. I'm gonna lock him right now.
Can you not?
I'm doing that.
What's your reason for taking my knife?
For your safety and my safety, I'm gonna put it right here, alright?
Okay, well,
Okay?
I don't want to give my name.
You kind of have to because you have to listen to yourself right now. You guys see something, right? She's claiming that you're following him, that's her, alright? So at this point, you need to identify yourself. If not, you're gonna be arrested for obstruction, okay?
Obstruction,
Obstruction is the investigation.
I feel like there was no crime. Okay, so, well, I feel like I don't need to identify. I've done nothing wrong. She said she's calling the police when I took my AirPod out. I waited here for the police to show up, so nobody's saying I'm running and catching me down the road like I'm running.
And we respect that.
Okay.
However, whenever we start to do an investigation, we have to ID everybody.
What are you investigating? There's a woman that's probably high or got some kind of issue.
Talk to her, right?
Okay.
So continue with she identified herself, or you need to identify yourself?
I don't think I need to identify myself. There was no fucking crime. There's nothing that happened. But my ID doesn't give me a determination of a crime. And what's the crime? And even if I was following her, like I would have to do more than follow somebody. I'd have to be stalking somebody to be a crime. I'm not stalking anybody. Well, I don't see how my name helps you determine whether or not I'm following somebody. That's your policy, is to identify people you come in contact with. It's my Fourth Amendment right to be free of unlawful searches and seizures. You've already seized my knives. Well, you seized my knife and my flashlight. Okay. Okay. But I'm not willing to provide my name. You have a supervisor? Is this a supervisor back here?
The face expression says it all, man. She really wants to get that dude's ID, and it's like crack to this lady officer.
What's your name? Murphy? You have ID number? 50381. What's your name, boss? Perez? 49606. 49626. So I'm detained. Seems like bullshit. I don't know what she said at first. I had AirPods in. She said something. I turned around and I was like, what's that? And then she said some shit about she left somewhere because I was there. She went on this spiel about a bunch of stuff. She was on the phone telling somebody, come pick her up, hurry up. She was saying she was waiting for them. She was mostly, it seemed like she was putting on a show for whoever was on the phone. Then she told them, call the police. And I was like, what did you call the police? You know, I ain't going nowhere. Like, and then she was like, you're a fucking weirdo, you're a fucking weirdo. Which direction was I? I was traveling south on 28th Street. I was coming from that direction in the bike lane going this way. What do you mean by make contact? She was maybe the first or second house that way. I think like the first house past the store might have been where she was walking north or standing there, I'm not sure. And she yelled something like as I was passing, I had to slow down. And I slowed down, I like crossed the road and told her, hold on, I can't hear you because she was still saying something. I took my AirPod out of his ear and I was like, what's that? And she was on the phone at first saying something to somebody else. And then she was like, and I was like, did you say something to me? And she's like, you're a fucking weirdo, stop following me. I left somewhere else. She didn't say something else, but she said, I didn't see her now. I could barely see her over there. Like, she was like in a shadow. So, you know, I don't know what she looks like. I was on that side in the bike lane going that way. She was on the sidewalk. She was on this side on the sidewalk. You think it was right for saying for this? And she told you a crime was committed? She said a crime was committed? Did she say she's a victim of a crime? No, I'm saying, are you trying to create a crime? Or did she say that a crime was committed? And what in her story says I committed a crime? What part of her story said I committed a crime? Or is this just an unlawful detention? Are you just holding me hostage because you want my ID? Well, if you're creating a crime out of nothing, then what is your allegation? What is the allegation against me?
The pause that this officer is making is so great because she cannot say anything. She really don't know what to say. That just goes to show that they really just be hiring anybody to be police officers.
What is her allegation? What is the allegation against me? You don't want to answer? Is it because you're making something up? You're trying to create a crime? Okay, let's say whatever she said, let's say all of it's true, that she's claiming that I committed a crime against her? What do you mean that is what you're investigating? Did she not say I committed a crime against her? I'm not understanding what you're saying. You're investigating something, but what are you investigating? It seems like you're just investigating how long you can stall to try and get my identification from you. Well, that's because you're demanding ID from me, telling me that I'm obligated to give it to you. So you're saying that she's saying that I committed a crime? She's saying that something I did was a criminal act? Okay, she's claiming I committed a crime against her?
Talk about the cat got your tongue.
Did you just turn your body camera off? Did you just not turn it on? So you turned it off when you went over there, then turned it on when you came back over here? I didn't make contact with anybody. Are you saying, you're saying you think I committed some kind of crime? My name's Sean, what's going on, boss? Sean. Sean?
You requested a supervisor, right?
Sure, they were demanding ID saying that this lady's alleging I committed a crime against her, or they're investigating something for a crime. They won't say that she's alleging I committed a crime, they're just saying they're investigating a crime and demanding identification.
Okay. So after I spoke to her, it doesn't sound like she's alleging a crime. Okay. So if you do not want to provide your ID, it's completely fine. I don't have to.
Appreciate it.
The officer is probably going to take a report just because this lady feels rich, she wants to document something. You've got also clear your name and everything. So if you would like to provide your name to her, you can. You're not obligated to. Okay.
I gave my first name, am I able to get an incident report number? Cause y'all will get my name with that.
Good. She can give you take the report on the train. Yeah. She can give you a copy of the not the actual report, but she can give you the consent report. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So Sean is it SHAWN or SHA? We just want to make sure we're talking about the right one in the report.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, I don't really like my name getting put in reports. You know, I used to get in a lot of trouble around here, right in this neighborhood when I was young. I've been keeping myself out of trouble now, and I'm trying to keep my name out of all the reports. You know,
Yeah, no problem. I mean, there's no crime you're not paying attention, so you're going to want. So just want to have a little something.
thank you, boss. It's alright, I got the video. Thank you very much. You too.
And that's the end of that video. My take on that, and that lady officer was really mad that she could not get that dude's ID. That she kept on trying to get his ID, she couldn't even yet name a crime. Like she wants to say this right here.
I feel like there's no crime. You're fine, there's nothing that happened. My ID doesn't give me a determination of a crime.
And yet, after her trying to get his ID and everything, he wasn't going.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Again, he's trying to say what crime did I committed.
Not too bad. Hang on.
Right here.
They just write the thing for this?
Yeah, I know. I was gonna make it out Holy probably tomorrow. I gotta bring my daughter to school. She's nothing good driving.
And she told you a crime was committed?
Drive her back
And
forth.
what in her story says I
Let her
committed a
drive.
crime?
We just gotta be with her because it's not a.
What part of
Like she could not name anything. Like she really felt defeated right there. And even had the other officer too. He couldn't even name the crime. Like right here.
are you saying you're saying you think I committed some kind of crime?
And honestly, the longest pause with these officers, probably one of the greatest interactions I've seen, is for the simple fact that how they just couldn't say anything. They didn't have no words to say to this guy, and it just goes to show, like I said, they just hire anybody because they just stood there just looking like a cat got their tongue at the end of the day. That's my take on it though. Let me know what y'all think about the comment section. How do y'all feel about these St. Petersburg police officers for detaining this guy, trying to get his ID, trying to do all this, just for the supervisor to come and say, oh yeah, you know, you're free to go, you didn't commit a crime. Like, all of that, and if that supervisor was there, he ain't called a supervisor, ain't no telling what would have happened. That's my take on it though. Let me know what y'all think about the comment section. Make sure to like, subscribe, and y'all have a wonderful day.
Go down a sink drain that would clog
thing about the pitch. I didn't think that you were onto something with the pitch, but here's why I steered away from that. Because even if the pitch had no pitch at all and it was straight across, then when you fill that sink up a certain amount, as long as it's above that pipe, that water should drain down to the level of the pipe, and it's not doing that. So that's the part that threw me off. Otherwise, I agree with you that there is no pitch at all. There's not that. It's not that pitch is back. It's just straight front. Like, the easiest way was the pitch. I would say the easiest way would be to raise the sink 4 or 5 inches, 4 inches up, something or something like that. Right. Because the reason why I say that is, or at a 45 elbow or something like that, we have a 45 elbow in the pipe and then raise the sink up. Because to cut the 6-inch pipe and put another cutout down lower, that would be a lot of shit to go through just for that, right? So that's why I said that. The easiest way, and again, I just don't believe it because I saw the water, I filled it up halfway, the sink halfway, and it still was not draining at all. I expected it to at least drain down to where the pipe was going out, you know? You could try that yourself so you'll see what I'm saying, because when you start, you gotta take the buckets of water back out.
Alright, so what's the problem?
The easiest way, the cheapest way to solve it all is because I have to get back there to all that stupid paneling apart. There's no way to get it back there, like, I remember, right? There's no crawl space you live back there. So I have to take all the apart, bunch of paneling, and once I get down in there, to try to go back into that 6-inch pipe just seems kind of useless to me. Why wouldn't I just put a Y somewhere on the drain for that first washing machine, and then for sure I got a good pitch there, because then I can pitch it down really good, you know. So if there's no clause,
I just been threatened by the sergeant, I'm gonna be arrested on a public street.
so if there's no clause,
How does that go?
then
I'm here for no other thing. They got flat tires, busted windows, and flat tire over here, butters. He told me to get about the situation, he's gonna arrest me, he was only telling me one time.
After standing in the same place for about 14 minutes and being completely ignored by the officers, Officer Flavio Tavares had his feelings hurt to the point that he exceeded the constitutional limitations to his authority and requested a false arrest and was drawn into custody for disorderly conduct.
So what that means is my state goes through, it's gonna be back and forth
That
and
will
back
lock me
and
up,
forth.
it's
You gotta wait
documented,
for it to go down.
federal lawsuit coming y'all way, I dare y'all. I dare y'all to lock me up. I'm addressing all of y'all.
Okay, no water is in there, but no water probably will play those things. It could be in those new machines probably. Okay, that's a good idea. Just like you say, on everything at once, so I can
You said the magic words. Let's go.
I could. After she gets out of school, she gets out there. I gotta bring her in.
Florida? I would like to Florida. What kind of encouragement for that community? Who's the complainant, sir?
John was held for nearly 14 hours before he was released on his own recognizance, and it took nearly a year for the court to hear his case. During the trial, Officer Flavio testified that John was yelling things like, "Aim at their heads," and "Uncle Tom officers."
What really caught my attention is as I was speaking to a supervisor at the time and some of my colleagues, especially what just took place.
Just leave it here. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, another way around it is you don't have to feel pressure with the insurance because there's, I know a couple of really cheap folks out there.
So if you really wanted
that's
to, you
fine.
just have it
I
over.
noticed that he was
Yeah.
pretty devout this one where.
I do. I know. There's a guy right down by you. There's a guy that lives about on Main Street, 6 houses up from the laundromat. He does towing service. He does our local clothes for us for about
If
$100.
I stood there,
They're
I
telling
heard the
you,
words, then I
yeah.
go.
The chicken be told, he might tell you 2 hour order or something like that, but still, that's cheap. Yeah. He is.
I wouldn't recall more than
Well,
once.
Well, he does local clothes for 100. In other words, Palmer, Wear, so, you know, it's still cheaper to wear. Normally, if I would call the Lippies would want about 300, 350. This guy would still get 150, 200, something like that.
And we could go through that again.
You can, that's an interruption. If you want to do it, you can. If you want to do that, let's say tomorrow.
I personally, I know I was tired, I just wanted to, dispersing crowd with everyone else.
That could go bad.
Each of my man staying on the sidewalk, if he was to convene, that's fine. But it became a concern.
Yeah, I just
at the people's
Googled, I
time.
got a Mercedes sitting back there. Freaking crazy. She's just been laying around.
That's really what prompted me to just put that one in.
However, John's lawyer disproves the notion that he used that type of language during the officer's cross-examination.
Pretty offensive thing.
I'll find you a Chief Tall. I'll start texting Gene later today. Do me a favor.
No, in electrical consultant, I suppose.
It's very easy to appreciate hearing these things, though, right? You don't enjoy hearing words like that,
It's just words, sir.
but you don't enjoy hearing them. And you actually, before that arrest, you actually didn't talk to him at all that night, right?
That's correct, sir.
Not a single.
No, sir. From the moment that I actually put him in cuffs, took him to the vehicle, and that was it. That was the end.
That was it.
Yes, sir.
I agree with you. I'm
And you're certainly not my officer,
my
he said.
car.
He said
And
that.
my doctor was that is a $500-$600 fucking shoes. Fuck that. But then what happened is you see this little green Jeep that I put her in. And the thing is now it's eating up about, it ate up $150 for an exhaust repair. It's gonna eat up this week. I got a bad bearing in the back because it hasn't been driven in 2 years. So I gotta do a few things, you know?
The moments right after the Rose arrest, he said that after the
Yes, sir.
Right. Yep. Yeah, but it's still beach. But I'd rather see you put the money into something. We'll talk about it later on about the people and stuff. And all the cost of everything. We're gonna try to keep it down low for you. I'll get it. I'll get it. In other words, it might just be better off pressing our own sheets. I gotta look at it to remember what. If you gotta fold stuff and there's a lot of folds and turns and everything, okay, I get it. We gotta get a new piece, right? Right. That's what I'm worried about. I don't want you. Yeah. We're gonna move that something along those lines. Okay, you're with me then. Okay. Yeah.
His attorney then presented a strong closing argument.
Right. That's what I did. I did all the body work on it. Tell them that I'll do anything on it. Sure, of course.
And most of these people had left by the time.
Sure, exactly. Right. So,
Not good today. We're throwing balls, we're throwing bricks.
yeah, and there might be 1 or 2 sheets that you may have to make you buy if I can't do the 4. Like I remember you had one, and I don't know what the thing is. You have one in the cab, okay? Those ones that are in the back of the cab and those cab panels, those are tough because you don't want to have to remove the whole fucking bed. You know what I mean? So to get in there and everything like that. So as long as I talk to you about it first, you'll understand that all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stick my hand as far in there as I can with my tools, and I'm gonna get it. And then when it's painted, you might notice a little schmuck if you're looking between the bed and the cab, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But who's gonna be sticking their head in there? And if they are, tell them to get the fuck out of here, right? So exactly. So at least you don't want to. My thing is, you don't want to put $4 or $5 grand into a vehicle that's only gonna be worth $4 or $5 grand. Is my whole thing, you know? Right.
For over 14 minutes. And he continued to express his shock and dismay, resulting from the officer's action.
We can get that, so you're not doing doing total restoration, even on the paint job, I've actually spent minimal fees, and then when you do a drain run, I mean, I can drive it different too. But if I wanted to spend the extra money, I could, and then you can't even see it, you know? You could do that too.
They know about unperturbed limits for most common minutes passed. Mr. McCullough continues. You guys need transparency. So much that it was
Yeah, I can fix that one too. I've seen that. I can, yeah, we can patch and repair a majority of it, and for a lot better than trying to do a total restoration on it, you know what I mean? So, and then when you get done, I can even spray bomb everything so that it looks good, and then you can make that decision later, you know what I mean? Hey, I'll take it to Mako for 1,500. I think they're down to right now for the cheapest paint job, 1,500, you know? And then you can decide then, or you might just look at it and say, hey, this is fucking fine, we'll leave it the way it is, and you know, then go from there. Yeah, because I feel better about that too, because I don't want to see you putting that much money into something that's not going to be worth that much money. Because then once you get done, you're going to go through the same shit that I'm going through here. It's an older vehicle, which is nothing wrong with that. You want to put up, so you're going to throw $150 a month, let's say, at your son, to keep up with oil, because it's going to be leaking oil. You know, it's not like the whole motor's got 70,000. It's only the cam job, right? So you're gonna have some oil leaks, and you're gonna have to make sure because that's what I'm going through with my wife too. Is that she wants a brand new car, right? She's putting more money into her brand new fucking car, and that's what I keep telling her. Between the brake jobs and the shit that just happens to break on it, run over something. Matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, I was pissed because your second four-wheel alignment, $300 a pop. In the last year, she didn't need a front alignment the first fucking time. And the tires she threw away because they told her she needed tires. She was bringing new fucking tires. It's a 2024. It's a 2024. You shouldn't need tires. You know what I mean? So they fuck with everybody. They fuck with everyone. So all that wasted money. And then she threw the tires away. We could have used the tires on one of our other used cars that I'm playing with, you know? So that's why, you know, I know exactly what you're going to be going through. I'm going through it now, so. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. You can find monster fucking tires if he's not gonna be driving on the highway and shit. You can find him some nice monster mutters while it's here. You know. Okay. Yeah, so we'll find all that dangerous shit while the truck's here. If I see dry rotted tires, if I see broken brake runs that are rotted out and all that, you know, I'll let you know as we go along. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. Yeah, I will. I'll start texting you. Matter of fact, if you could do me a favor, text me your address so I can get a price on them. Your address. Text me your Chicopee address, and I'll text you once I get a price on this tow, and sometime in the next week or so, and I'll get a day out of it and all that. All right, sounds good. And then I'm gonna head down West Street, so you got a few down. Okay. At Main Street. Okay. Okay. Thankfully, it's not a question before the court. Because everyone present here today knows that Mr. McCullough did not utter those words. Okay, maybe just all that dirty water shit coming out the hydrant and everything. So, yeah. All right, thanks, man. All right, talk to you later. Yep, all right, bye. He told us he was tired, and quite obviously remembers none of what was said, despite independently reviewing Mr. McCullough's video on the internet. But regardless of the reason for Officer Tavares' testimony, we have video evidence in this case. The video does not lie. Those were not Mr. McCullough's words. And paradoxically, Officer Tavares himself
words are, quote, normalize the police officer, I suppose,